Good morning, and welcome to another Multilingual Monday. Today I'm going to be talking about what it means to pre teach vocabulary. When we talk about pre teaching vocabulary, it means introducing the vocabulary that is crucial for students to understand the context before we actually dive into the context. So I've got an example here. I'm going to be working with a small group of English language learners this week, and we're going to be talking about ocean animals. One of the words we're going to come across is the word tentacles. So you'll see I've included the word, which we'll practice saying, but then I've included not one, but at least three different pictures that show the word. And you'll see that I also used different animals because I don't want them to see three jellyfish and think, oh, tentacles is the word for jellyfish in English. No, I want them to see the word demonstrated in different contexts. Here I have three ocean animals. I have an octopus here and an octopus here, but they're in different settings. And then I use those arrows to point out the specific part of the animal that I'm talking about. We'll also probably use some gestures using our own arms to really help them understand the meaning of this word. This can be used at any grade level. You pick out the words that you think are the most important for the students to know in order to understand what you're teaching. And then before you dive in, you go over those words. You give examples, you give visuals. I recommend at least 3 visuals for each word. Perhaps you're assigning some homework where they have to read a chapter. And there may be a lot of vocabulary words that are included in the curriculum with that chapter, and you think, I'm a secondary teacher, I don't have time for that. That would take a whole class period to go over all of those words. Well, here's an option. Maybe before they get that assignment to read the chapter that night, you pick out 2 or 3 out of the possible 10 words there are, 2 or 3 that you think, if I don't give them anything else, I need them to understand these 3 when they go to read tonight. And then with the last perhaps 5 minutes of class, you say, okay, here's your homework assignment. You're reading chapter 8. But before you read chapter 8 tonight, I want to talk about these 2 words or these 3 words. And I want to make sure you understand what they mean. And then you would go through them, you would break them down, say the words, look at some visuals. And then you could close by saying, okay, now when you go to read tonight, I want you to pay special attention to these words. See where they are, see how they're used, and remember what we just talked about. And that'll help you understand what you're reading. So that's simple. That's a way to take it down to a smaller time frame because we know that in the secondary world, sometimes they're more crunched for time. So that's a way to still pre-teach the vocabulary by choosing just those 2 or 3 essential words. But always, always, always try to include visuals for them to connect the word to an image, and that's going to make a huge difference for them. I hope you enjoyed this video and you find it useful for your classroom. Have a great day.